Hi there! You're invited to listen to an exclusive excerpt from the next episode that I'll be publishing on Sunday. My next guest is absolutely fascinating, and this is just a teaser of what you can expect from our discussion. Enjoy listening, and I'll see you on Sunday for the full episode.
Welcome to Finscale, a podcast created by Solène Niederkorn, shedding light on innovation in finance, banking, and insurance.
World Bank Mysteries Unveiled. Andrea Monteleone, Senior Payments Expert at the World Bank.
The Western Balkans economies, both the authorities and the market participants with best practices from around the world. We have involved payment systems operators, regulators, major banking groups from the European Union to come to our events and share their strategies, the challenges they faced, and how they developed digital payment solutions to serve their customer bases.
In the same way that I greatly enjoyed hosting the EIF, a deputy and a finance minister, I'm delighted this week to understand the role played by the World Bank in the digitalisation and modernization of financial systems in emerging countries. Together with Andrea, we explore the example of instant payments and examine the role played by the World Bank in this implementation, particularly through the practical case of their deployment in the Western Balkans. This sheds light on the historic institution based in Washington, D.C., and it's a great way to understand the nature of their collaborations with both public and private sectors. You will understand concretely how the World Bank assists developing economies worldwide in modernizing payment systems and the financial sector in general. By partnering with policymakers and the private sectors, it develops a new playbook to drive impactful and resilient development. Modernizing the financial sector is just one aspect of it, as the World Bank has already been supporting more than 12,000 development projects, including infrastructures, schools, and roads. Enjoy the show! Hello, everyone. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Solène. Thank you for having me.
I'm really happy to have you on the podcast because I already received great guests from European institutions like the European Investment Fund or the European Investment Bank, qualitative content from those actors and players. But I think that the World Bank is an institution that people don't really know. And in the domain of digitalization of the financial sector across the world is also a big question mark for many of my listeners. So could you please start by quickly introduce yourself and tell a bit about your background and what you're doing at the World Bank, and then we'll dig into it.
Sure. So first of all, let me say that since I discovered your podcast, I became a fan, at least of the episodes in English. So it's a pleasure to be part of one of your episodes. And what about me? I'm Andrea Monteleone. I'm an expert in payments. I'm an Italian based in Washington, D.C. I moved here a couple of years ago to join the Payment System Development Group of the World Bank. My job, the job of our team, is to assist developing economies around the world to modernize their national payment system, leveraging the innovation that is reshaping at a pretty high pace the financial sector. Prior to that, I was with MasterCard in Europe, where I held different roles. I have been both a management consultant for both internal consultancy to MasterCard against or towards major forces that were reshaping payments in Europe, like PSD2 or the advent of instant payments in Europe, and for major banking groups. And at MasterCard, I also held roles in product management. I was in charge of the digital consumer solutions of MasterCard in Europe. So I would define myself as a payment expert at this stage. Other than that, I know we share the passion for running. This is good because the development of modern payment systems, of digital payments, often is a marathon, a beautiful race, but it's good to know how to run it. So glad to be here with you to speak
Great. Yes, and the listeners don't realize, but we've been already spending minutes talking about trail running before recording the episode. Okay, so Andrea, I guess the first question I would like to ask you is about the World Bank. Can you please give us a brief overview and maybe explain to us what's the primary mission of the World Bank?
Sure. So the World Bank is an international development organization with 189 members from countries all around the world. Our mission is to end extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity on a livable planet. And how we aim to achieve this mission is by partnering with all stakeholders, starting from policymakers, authorities around the world, but also engaging with the private sector to write what we define a new playbook to drive impactful development. How we at the World Bank define impactful development as a development that is inclusive, meaning that we do not leave anybody behind. We focus especially on the weakest segments of the population, on addressing those gaps like the rural gap or the gender gap that affect many countries around the world. We want development to be resilient, meaning that it can resist and navigate shocks, natural disasters, pandemics, crises of any sort. Lastly, we want development to be sustainable, meaning that it triggers and fosters a truly 360 growth of the countries we support. So it generates an increase in human capital, for example, the creation of markets, the increase of jobs, of new jobs in these markets. And we work with this approach across all major areas of development.
Now that you've heard an excerpt from the upcoming episode on Sunday, make sure you stay tuned and connected so you don't miss a beat.